mental health is so important. And, physical health, I mean, we have to have good sleep, good rest, good food, all that adds to our mental health. And, I think avoiding depression, trying to make the right choices in life. And I know the older you get, there are, tragedies that occur in your life and things that can cause depression. But I just think if we can keep active socially, avoid isolation as for seniors, get out there and be active, do things as much as you can. And, all the things that help avoid senility too. I am president of the board of directors of our Tierra Sana village, and it's called TVSD. And about a year and a half or 2 years ago, we formed a partnership with AIS, which is Aging and Independent Services through the county and the city. And I got an email one day that through their organization, they were wanting to start some intergenerational discussion groups. So I signed up and I sent a memo out to our members, and there were 2 or 3 that wanted to do this activity. And actually they invited villages from all around San Diego. I remember that first discussion group that I went to, there was a representative from the City Heights village, the Serra Mesa village, and a couple of the other villages. And that's how I first learned about this intergenerational program. And so I attended the sessions last summer. And then since then, I found out they're doing the book club. And since I'm very interested in literature, I decided I'd like to join the intergenerational book club. And I think it's good for us seniors, even though we're a senior organization. It's good to socialize with people that are not over 50 and not just the little ones like our grandchildren, but those that are, 20 to 40 in age. We don't get much of a chance to interact with them unless they're our adult children. So that's how I found out about the program. Yeah, one thing I've enjoyed too about the discussions is the fact that we find out we have so much in common. Yes, there's an age difference and, a lot of cultural differences and so forth. But when we really started talking about things like, what are your passions? What are your goals? What do you enjoy in life? What books do you like to read? We found out we had so much in common between like 20-year-olds and 70-year-olds. And I think that was refreshing. We're all part of the same human family. And it was just great. I really enjoy the conversations and the programs that they put on.
Yeah, so I first started, so with Carrefour, I believe it was intergenerational conversations back in 2021. So last year, sorry, time.
Yeah.
And it was part of the UCSD Changemaker Week, I think. I don't know if it was the first IGC conversation or if it was like in a series, but basically one of my friends, Olivia Michaels, invited me to the program as we were coworkers. And essentially, I really enjoyed the experience, just being able to talk with the elderly and like get experiences and histories and stories that otherwise I would have never had access to, and learning from their memories. And then I believe a little bit later, sometime over the summer this year, Olivia and another one of my friends, Morgan Montoya, the 2 founders, I think, of Carrefour. Yes. Oh, yes. Thank you. Thanks, Marilyn. The 2 founders of Carrefour said that they were starting a new org, or basically a new student org on campus. And I was really interested in continuing with it. And yeah, I've tried to go to as many events as I can. I really like the fact that I would love to, interact with you in person, but being able to be virtual is still a blessing, just to, again, share space and share stories. But that's how I started with all of it. I think a fun point you bring up, Lauren, is the fact that, yeah, because like I'm relatively introverted. I kind of like being in my own little bubble, but I was definitely craving that social interaction. And I guess having that social interaction with an age group outside of our own was really refreshing and new, just because the only other folks I can talk to my parents, and they're not quite like that old, but um just yeah, hearing that like story, yeah, I totally get that.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I'm gonna kind of copy and paste Jay's story. I first got involved a year ago, and that was through intergenerational connections. And I think Olivia was my first point of contact as well for that. But yeah, I joined those conversations we were having, I think maybe weekly or monthly. And then after that, kind of just assimilated into what's now Carrefour Companions. And yeah, I really enjoy the events. I've gone to some of the card making, the book meetings, and some of the other discussions. And yeah, I think it's just a wonderful opportunity to learn from seniors, learn from people my age, and just really make connections and branch out and hear like a broad range of different stories across a lot of topics. So yeah, I really enjoy it, and especially as like a college student being in an undergraduate curriculum, which is sometimes a little stressful. It's good to just take an hour every week or every month to just have conversations with really nice people who sometimes you've never ever met before. But yeah, that's how I kind of got assimilated into the program, and I absolutely love it.
Mhm.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think one of the most fascinating moments for me is I had a conversation with a group one day, and one of the members in my little breakout room, she had been right next to Pearl Harbor when it was attacked as a kid, like a very small kid. She remembered it. I'm like, wow, that's crazy. No one I interact with on a daily basis would ever be able to recall anything like that here at UCSD. And so it's just those far out things that you'd never expect. But those are the conversations that just kind of blow my mind sometimes. And hearing those personal experiences of like things that have shaped our history, um, all the way down to talking about our favorite recipes. That's what's cool to me, is that the conversations range from Pearl Harbor to like how to make some good spaghetti, and that I feel like I gain a lot from any of that.
And for me, it was interesting, some of the little chat rooms that I was in with these conversations. So many of the students were born and raised in other countries. And it's fascinating to hear their stories. One time, I think the topic was holiday uh, traditions. And, even though we're all living in America, they brought with them so many different holiday traditions, and how they, as young people, were trying to carry on the cultural traditions with their families. And some of them were saying, I won't be with my family for the holiday, but I'm trying to recreate it here in my dorm room. And I thought that was precious, that they're still trying to make that bridge between, going to an American university, living here, and yet trying to recreate what was important in their life about the traditions and the cultures from the country that they were born in. And I just thought that was very interesting.
I think for me, I mentioned Dawn, just because I like somehow we always end up in the same rooms, but also I don't know, I feel like within my own age group, there's a lot of like social stigmas, and you want to make friends, you want to make connections and stuff. So people, even though we're in college, it still feels like a lot of high school games, like in some ways, just like the whole popularity and drama and all that nonsense. But I think with Don, he doesn't mince words like whatsoever. And for the most part, most seniors don't, which I really appreciate, because it reminds me a bit of my folks. Just like the stories are just raw, like it feels like sometimes a little too much information, but I appreciate that just because I'm able to really like I could see myself in Don's shoes, even though I would never have lived his experiences. Um, I think at one point, he was talking about his experience like within the police department and just describing like the various story, like, harrowing moments, like tragedies, also like fun moments. And this, the level of detail he's able to get into is fascinating. Like, I hope to have stories that like insane one day, just because I don't know, I feel like I live a somewhat interesting life, but it's also relatively mellow. So yeah, Dawn has been just a plethora of life treasures.
Yeah, that's incredible. So I touched on one of my experiences a little bit, but I think one of the other ones that I found pretty fascinating was in one of my groups one day, there was a individual who had gone to school and grown up in San Diego and then had become an instructor at one of the local universities for a series of decades. And just hearing the insights of, you know, how things have changed and their lessons from teaching all in this place where I'm going to school, that really struck me. And I won't go into too many details because I'm not sure if I'm supposed to disclose what goes on in the individual conversations, but yeah, that was really fascinating insight to me, just kind of what changes and the history of, you know, experience that I'm going through right now, going through like education here in San Diego.
Well, for one thing, I don't think we ought to lose that sense of history for my generation. I mean, we have, as I said earlier, we've lived through so many changes in the last, 50, 60 years. And yet I think, not that I'm saying we have so much knowledge, but we do have experience to share with the younger generation. And I know my son, he'll call me and ask for advice on things. And then I call him and ask for advice on things because he's very technically savvy and I depend on him for things like that. But when it comes to, would you think this is a good move? Should I really do this? Or a lot of emotional support I can give him too. And I just think we need that bridge between the generations because we need to rely on one another. We don't know what the world's going to bring. And I know that during the pandemic, when our senior group was so vulnerable with COVID, and we were the group that was told, don't, the enemy's at the front door. Don't leave your house. Don't go out socially. Stay within your little bubble. And yet we had to depend on your generation that were young and healthy and out there to bring our groceries to us, to run our errands. We had within our Tierra Sana village, we had, millennials, 20, 30-year-olds who were out there helping us. And so we have to bridge that gap so that we can rely on each other and help each other. And I think that's important.
I totally agree, and I'm a huge proponent of, if you don't share your knowledge, what good is it? And I do my best to share my knowledge and what I know. And I mean, I'm 20 years old, but I've probably been a competent, intelligent being for maybe 5 years of that. When I was 15, I was still like just scootering through the halls of my high school, not thinking about much. So yeah, I have 5 years of experience on this planet, and like you said, Marilyn, a lot of learning does come from experience. And there's a lot of things you can't get from a textbook. And there's things that the people older than me have lived through that I will never, ever experience. And so, yeah, bridging that gap and learning about, those experiences and how people handle them is a huge lesson to me and helps my outlook on life. And then I can pass that on.
Mm-hmm.
I absolutely agree with both of y'all. Experience and passing on stories is so pivotal to just human advancement. I feel like we wouldn't get to where we were without it. And on Marilyn's point of like assisting, helping each other and bridging that gap, like we physically, like every preceding generation wouldn't be here if it weren't for the generation before them. And when I used to interact with my grandma, like it was always fascinating to just talk with her and hear her experiences because it wasn't only developing my skill set, but it's like Lauren said, it's being able to pass on that knowledge to other people, or even, sometimes my dad and I would get into disagreements and she would come in and, be the voice of reason and propose a totally different viewpoint. And we're just like, where did that come from? And, it's just, it's with living, it's with life. But I really think it's important that also the younger generation understand, how valuable the elderly are, because of the fact that all those lessons, like Lauren said, you can't find them in a textbook. I tried to learn about financing, back in high school to try and get ready for Roths and savings accounts and all that nonsense. But I think most of my knowledge came from my grandma. Like, she really did just help coach me through all that, because she lived through multiple recessions, through multiple upturns, through the housing crisis. Like, she experienced all that firsthand. And I think it was just really, really valuable knowledge to be able to continue to live on through. And subsequently, once our generation grows older, it's our duty to then pass on that knowledge once again and just keep the chain going.
Mhm.
Um, I can go, I guess I'll go first, or just because as a student affairs, or I'm trying to become a student affairs professional, but with my experience in working with residents and students of all ages, I think mental health for me is the capability of basically getting from one day to the next, whether that be positive, negative. It's basically doing what you can to make sure that you keep on going and taking care of yourself. Because as much as, yes, we rely on each other and we rely on socialization and other humans to prop us up, at the end of the day, like, when you go to bed, it's you and your head. And if, in my opinion, like in my experiences, it's just the more you're able to help yourself, the better off you will be. And thus, subsequently, you can help other people as well. Um, Mental health is just such a pivotal, and I'm very like happy to see that it's becoming less socially stigmatized as we go on with time. I think uh past generations that were shamed for it are able to come out now and be supportive of it, just because like there's been so much awareness brought about it. Like, my dad loved my father, but he was a bit of a proponent. Nah, never mind. Sorry, that's going into a little bit of personal stuff. But yeah, no, I love how we've been able to learn and adapt into a society that embraces mental health and is aware of what, shortcomings we do have.
Yeah, I agree. I think mental health is so important. And, um, physical health, I mean, we have to have good sleep, good rest, good food, all that adds to our mental health. And, um, I think avoiding depression, trying to make the right choices in life. And I know the older you get, there are, tragedies that occur in your life and things that can cause depression. But I just think if we can keep active socially, avoid isolation, as for seniors, get out there and be active, do things as much as you can. And, all the things that help avoid senility too. I mean, as you get older, you face that. You think your memory's starting to go, and to do things that keep you mentally alert and mentally active. And that's both physical, exercise, diet, sleep, all of those things I think add to our mental health. And I think trying to keep a positive outlook about life. I was so glad that, like, when COVID hit, um, I live alone. My husband passed away 5 years ago. And, it was wonderful to have Zoom. I mean, I, I knew nothing about Zoom before then, but, my book club went on Zoom. We had coffee chats. We had, discussion groups. Our meetings for the village went on Zoom, neighborhood groups. My homeowners association went on Zoom. It kept me active and mentally alert. And that to me is wonderful that we have the technology to do that.
Yeah, I completely agree with everything both of you said. And personally, I think the importance of mental health can't be understated. I come from in high school, my county had the highest suicide rate in the nation. And so I come from a place of, having people close to me suffering and losing that battle to mental health. And so it really cannot be understated. And to me, especially today, it's important to stay connected with people, because I think a lot of well-being comes from, having the balanced life that Marilyn was talking about. And everyone has their own personal needs. Some people are more, introverted, but, we all need food, water. But I think human connection is also one of those necessities. I don't think there's many people out there who wouldn't go, crazy sitting in a room by themselves for a month. And so, yeah, it's interesting because, as seniors, sometimes you get a little bit detached, and you may not have the opportunities to go out and do as much as you could. But I'm about to sound like a senior now, but these things for people our age do the same exact thing, because it's so easy just to be in your own world. And so, yeah, I think having an opportunity to not only socialize, but socialize with a diverse group through intergenerational connections or care for companions, really, I mean, at least for me, in my experience, it really kind of elevates my mental health, mood, and happiness. And but yeah, as I said, mental health can't be understated.
Just keep positive. I know sometimes you feel overwhelmed with, maybe you work part-time and you're trying to do school and be socially, active in organizations or dating or whatever it happens to be with your family. And I think, to me, the most important thing is just don't get overwhelmed. I always, try to stay organized, keep everything. I keep a calendar, and I just, what I need to do, what are the main things for the day, and what can carry over to the next day. But just stay positive about it all. Stay positive, stay organized, and just love what you're doing and enjoy it. And each day offers a different adventure. And I just know I've had so many wonderful opportunities in my life. And a lot of them were things I thought, I'll never do this. I couldn't do it. And yet I was urged by my husband, and now urged by my adult son, and urged by my friends. You can do this. 4 years ago, I went to Machu Picchu and I climbed all around those ruins at age 71. And I thought, so just keep an outlook that nothing's impossible, and just stay positive and keep that good mental acuity, and enjoy life. Just enjoy it. Anyway, I started thinking about those 3 questions that my daughter-in-law asks the little boys. And I do that in the evening, sometime before bed. I just think about, what did I enjoy today? And what challenge did I face? And what am I thankful for today? And to me, that helps. It just helps get me relaxed and in the mood to have a good night's sleep. So anyway, I thought I'd just share that, because I thought that was something really good that my daughter-in-law started. And I hope my grandsons continue with that when they're your age, when they're in their 20s, and each evening they can think about those kinds of things.
Yeah, I really appreciate that, Marilyn. I definitely try to live life day to day. One of my favorite quotes that I learned from a somewhat young age is, yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery, and today is a gift. That's why we call it the present.
I like that. I like that quote. Can you say it slower?
Yeah. Yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery, but today is a gift. That's why we call it the present.
The present. Oh, I love that.
Yeah, so I really do appreciate just that advice, because it's easy to get overwhelmed as a student, just, with classes, with life. And I'm currently trying to apply to real-time job or professional jobs, find housing. Like, there's definitely days where everything just feels so much, but I think it's good to step back and just remember, like, enjoy what I have now, because yeah, like, you never know what life can bring, and it's important just to live moment by moment.
Yeah.
And then oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead. No, you go ahead.
I was just gonna say what it's not really advice for you per se, but I think it's just advice in general. But one thing that I've learned definitely over the past 4 years being at college is I completely agree. Like we should be positive as much as possible, but on the days where just it seems like an insurmountable mountain to climb, I've learned it's okay to not be okay. Like it's okay to let yourself feel things. Especially I grew up with kind of the mindset of as a guy, like I shouldn't show emotion. And that definitely did more harm than good when I was younger. But getting into college, I kind of was able to really like understand the concept of feeling emotions and letting, being able to cry and just feeling vulnerable essentially.
Mhm.
I think that's like a really big aspect of mental health is just understanding that some days it just the dice don't roll your way and you just gotta feel it, ride it out, and then when the next day comes, it's a fresh start.
Mhm.
Like you said, today is a present. It's why we call it the present. And I have a friend who is a PhD now in leadership, and he actually did his dissertation in um, basically appreciation and gratitude, and the effect of appreciation and gratitude on mental health. And so I was kind of the guinea pig for a lot of his studies. And it's crazy because we can actually quantify that if you reflect and appreciate every day, your mental health and outlook on life will actually increase in a positive manner. There's studies out there quantifying that. So if you like, I think that's incredible. Like you can improve your mental health simply by appreciating and being grateful for everything you're given every day. The present you're getting. Um, but yeah, other than that, I think you guys kind of covered a lot of great points surrounding mental health. And I think my plan as I progress and eventually, retire from whatever I do as work is I often see people fall into, you know, I don't think I can give Marilyn advice. I think she's got this on lock. She's like the NBA player of managing this mental health realm. Um, but yeah, staying active for one. I've always come from a perspective that spending energy almost creates energy. If I sit around all day, I'm actually more exhausted than if I go out on a walk, go on a run, go to the beach. That gives me energy. That invigorates me. So staying active, even when you maybe don't feel like it, will give me energy, and also staying connected. I think those are the two main things. And yeah, like I said, I can't give Marilyn any advice. She's the NBA professional
Lauren, I wanted
mental health advocate.
Thanks for watching. Hit the like button and comment with your own thoughts and experiences. If you'd like to see more content like this, please subscribe to our channel at Real Life Videos. Let's rehumanize.